the answer lies in the heart of battle.
Ryu's intro line in Street Fighter IV to some is just that, an intro line. However, to me, at the impressionable age of 13, this line turned me into the type of gamer I am today, and those 8 words awakened something deep within me that I hope with this video does the same for you. So class, today I want you to sit back and really take in today's lesson, because today I'm going to talk about why I love and why you should play fighting games. If we were to go all the way back to the first Olympics, you'll see that 3 of the events were boxing, wrestling, and pankration, which is no-holds-barred fighting. As time advances, we have taken the fighting sports of old and have evolved them and even invented and discovered new ways to fight. There is no question that we as humans have some form of desire to watch 2 sides compete as a spectacle for our entertainment, but it's those select few who actually enjoy playing the sport that I want to focus on. Take a look at one of the most intense forms of fighting, the UFC, and see that these guys and girls all love jumping into the octagon to beat the snot out of each other and try to win a golden belt. All joking aside, there is a small truth to this, that everyone in any competition-based sport wants to become the best. Why? Well, it's simple. They love competition. Competition, defined in the dictionary, is the act or process of trying to get or win something, such as a prize or a higher level of success, that someone else is also trying to get or win. Competition is what drives people to do what they love in whatever field they want to excel at. Take a look at Goku from the Dragon Ball series. His entire being is that his main goal in life is to prove himself and others that he is the very best martial artist. You can really see Goku as someone who genuinely loves competition and pushing himself past his limits to fight beings that are far greater than him, and winning and even pushing others who he knows are weaker than him to be their very best. And it's this same desire and that same dopamine rush is why I love fighting games. Super Street Fighter II was my first official fighting game I've ever played. The old school graphics, a character roster full of creative characters each with their own different fighting styles, and now an iconic music of the game. If you have never heard Guile's theme from any of the Street Fighter series, I suggest you go listen to it. Ever since that moment, fighting games have been an integral part of my life. I remember on my first console I owned, the PlayStation 1, I owned Tekken 2, Tekken 3, and Bloody Roar 2. And later, on the PlayStation 2, having games such as Dragon Ball Z Budokai 1-3, Soul Calibur 2, Tekken 4 and Tekken Tag Tournament, and Street Fighter the 2004 Anniversary Collection, where I played for the first time ever Street Fighter Third Strike, one of my top 3 favorite Street Fighter games, and one of my favorite games of all time. Not only did I own all these games, I was really good at playing them. Very few friends I had could ever beat me at these games, and even adults like my dad and uncles couldn't even hold a candle to me, only being 7 to 8 years old at the time. I remember my dad recounting a time when we would play Bloody Roar 2. I would beat him and he would spend all night up until 3 to 4 a.m. learning a character, only to fight me once, win, and then the next round I'd tell him I wasn't trying, then beating him every round afterwards. And it seems like I looked like a villain in an anime, but the reason why I would beat him and everyone else isn't that I just wasn't inherently good at fighting games, it was that I was practicing just like my dad was, learning combos and specials from different characters and even learning combo strings. To me, while growing up, fighting games are my favorite genre of games and will always be a huge part of my life. It's why I stream fighting games and show off the games that I enjoy today. But while I enjoy them, I notice some of you have never played the fighting games I currently play or have never seen or heard of them. And I think that's why most people don't play fighting games, because they aren't really that heavily advertised. Unless you're looking for a specific fighting game, or it's being backed by a big franchise or company, or you might have stumbled across it because it's advertised as free, like Brawlhalla. Fighting games aren't being pushed as much as they were back in the 90s and early 2000s. And that's a shame because there is such a wide array of games for you to discover and play. But sometimes I think when you find these games, there isn't a clear way that some of these fighting games don't teach players how to play their games. Back when I would play fighting games, there was one thing that most games don't have today that we used to have in every game: an instruction booklet. Some of you may not know or remember but up until a certain point, video games would come with instruction booklets. They contain not only the controls of the game and how to play, but sometimes backstories to characters or even the games themselves. One of my favorite instruction booklets is the one from Metal Gear Solid 2. It had an instruction booklet that was also part comic book. In reading the comic, you also taught you how to play the game and taught you the controls. It wasn't up until the end of the Xbox 360 and PlayStation 3 era, into the beginning of the Xbox One and PS4 era, where games were not coming with instruction booklets. If you open any game box right now, you'll see that there's a spot to put an instruction booklet, but they don't. Maybe it's because they don't want to waste paper for environmental reasons, or it's costing them too much money to include them. But even then, very few games even have links to online manuals to play their games. The most recent game that I have seen that has an online manual, not surprising to me, was the Street Fighter 30th Anniversary Collection. That's because those old games on the Anniversary Collection didn't have in-game tutorials. They had booklets showing you how to play the games and in a fun, creative way. And in Street Fighter V, it has a manual on its website that you can get from either the Stream Games page, the PlayStation Game app, or just by Googling it, because Capcom at least respects its players enough to have access to one. The most recent game that I have that actually has a booklet is the Power Rangers Battle for the Grid Physical Edition I got from Limited Run Games, which has a super detailed instruction booklet on how to play each Power Ranger. But besides games not having a manual, learning a game is always a struggle for anyone, especially fighting games. Korra Gaming said in one of his videos that learning how to play fighting games is like learning how to fight in real life. You don't inherently know how to fight, and it's the same when it comes to fighting games. And I feel this is a big reason why most people don't play fighting games. There are a few things that carry over from each fighting game, but every game has its own set of rules and mechanics, and sometimes learning those deep game mechanics is what turns people off from fighting games. In a quote from Muhammad Ali, you can see that training isn't a waste of time at the end of the day. I hated every minute of training, but I said to myself, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion. By taking the time to learn how to play and practice, you will have a better understanding of how to play, even if the tutorial isn't the best. In saying that, we are lucky enough to live in an era where the internet exists and we can look up tutorials made by other people to help people having a better understanding of the game. Another way to train and practice in a fighting game, besides playing tutorials, is actually by playing through the single-player modes. The single-player modes in fighting games range from having arcade modes that run you through the gauntlet of fights with escalating difficulty in each match, character-specific trials like in Street Fighter V that show you combo strings and characters can do, and rewarding you with in-game currency to get the colors and costumes for your characters, to modes like in Super Smash Bros., where you have modes that teach you the mechanics of the game like the Home Run Derby or Target Smash. I will admit not all single-player content in fighting games are the best, but sometimes a game can get you to learn to play even when you don't know it. The last thing I want to talk about when it comes to fighting games, and is something that could hold people back from wanting to play fighting games, but also can draw them in, is the communities for fighting games and their place in the fighting game community, the FGC. Now, this might sound biased because I will be talking from personal experiences, but let me explain it, and it might change how you view fighting games. So I had a unique experience getting into the FGC, involving my friends taking me to a local video game store that held different video game events, one of which was a doubles Super Smash Bros. Brawl tournament. My friend and I entered as a team, and we actually ended up winning the whole thing. And from there, I was able to make some new friends and connections in the FGC, to the point when I was in college, I would host local events and even participate in games against other colleges. But my experiences getting into the FGC started at a very young age by first just playing fighting games. Getting into a community seems like it's something that you have to be invited into, when in reality, it's not. Most games nowadays have a community tab that is literally there for you not to feel alone when you want to try to get into a game, when you don't have friends that are into fighting games. Sometimes a community will even come to you, like when the Rivals of Ether community came to my streams and was helping me get better at the game. And to drive that point home that you can just join the FGC even as just a fan, look no further than the biggest fighting game event, EVO. The Evolution Championship Series, or EVO for short, is an event held every year that focuses exclusively on fighting game tournaments. These tournaments are held for games that are just coming out, like Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, to games that have been out for a while and may have a strong fan base, like Tekken 7 and Street Fighter V. Even to games that are still played on CRTs or arcade cabinets, because it's what players feel looks and plays the best on, like Marvel vs. Capcom 2 or Super Street Fighter 2. And what makes this even cooler is that all tournaments are open, which means that if you go to EVO, you can sign up for any of these tournaments and participate. What's also great about EVO is that even if you don't participate, they still run friendly and casual matches with other people from the community that are still willing to help you learn and grow in a caring environment, because everyone there also loves to play fighting games. Just see how many people come to these events, play these games, and show their love and support for these games and bring the community together. And that's why I wanted to make this video, because I love being a part of the FGC. There are many different fighting games to play and to learn, and I want to be able to show you guys as well as let you know there is a whole genre that is waiting for you to test your might and help you see something truly amazing. And that is why I love and why you should play fighting games. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would like to give a huge shout out to Corey Gaming and Super Eyepatch Wolf, both being an inspiration to me wanting to make this video. Their channel links are down in the description below. And a huge thank you to you guys for watching and being a part of my community. If you want to stay updated with everything I do, please check my socials and join my Discord as well. I will see you all in the next lesson at Crimson University. And as always, good gaming, God bless, go beyond, and keep on keeping on.